今ですね、日本語の文も、経絡の方ですね、プレゼンテーションいただいて日本語でも作ったんで、それ今ですね、ちょっと用意していただいてるから、まもなく始めたいと思います。All right, for our second presentation tonight, we have a Lego historian, Signe Weise. She's going to be doing a presentation about the Lego history and how we work with it. 2番目
Yes. Hi guys.
You muted.
Thank you for
Nathan.
For having me. I'm just trying to get
2つ目のプレゼンテーションです。レゴの歴史と、歴史の使いこなしやってみると、レゴの、歴史の方の、シグネ・ウィーさんです。OK。
Now, right, so I will be talking about my job as a Lego historian, and of course, I will also be, just giving you a brief presentation of how the Lego Group has evolved and how we've become the company that we are today. But the agenda is looking pretty much like this. I will give you an introduction to Lego history. I've also tried to look into how the Lego Group sort of began in Japan, because I thought you might find that interesting. Then I thought that I would give you an idea of what I actually do, because I think for most people, they sometimes wonder what a corporate historian is actually doing. So I will be talking a bit about the Lego Idea House, the historical department. And then at last, we'll take a closer look into the Lego Group archives, which is a place that not many people get to see.
Okay. 今日はですね、4つの部分ですね、ちょっと分けていくんですけど、実際のレゴの、歴史についていろいろ話して、そして、レゴの、日本のですね、ものとしてちょっと話したいと思います。実はレゴの、歴史の人は、どういう仕事をしているかですね、その辺についていろいろ話したいとして、あと、レゴのアイディアハウスの、ことも、触れたいとして。で、最後の方ですね、そのレゴアーカイブですね。一般の人はなかなか、見たりとか、あまり、あんまり見れない、ものですね、も、見せていきたいなと思っています。
Yes. So let's have a look at Lego history. I thought this would be a good idea to sort of have you understand what it is that I work with on a daily basis. So the sign that I've shown you here is a wooden sign that is the motto of Lego founder Ole Kirk Christiansen. And in Danish, it says, "Det bedste er ikke for godt," and that translates to English, "Only the best is good enough." And that was the motto of our founder, and it's still company spirit today.
まずですね、レゴの、ヒストリーの人はどういうことをしているかというと、いろんなですね、レゴの歴史のものですね、触れたりとかして、これはキーでできている、最初の、only the best is good enough の、デンマーク語で書いてあるサインですね。
And then I think this sign also shows really well, and it's a really great example of how that the Lego Group and our sort of core values are really rooted in this company history, even though it's almost 100 years ago that the company was founded.
もう100年以上、100年ぐらい前ですね、もう作った会社なんだけど、これが、もともとの、本当にその、コアの、バリューの一つとして、分かっていただけると思います。
So, Lego Group is first and foremost a family-owned company. The Kirk Christiansen family is the constant in our company history, and I thought I will give you just a quick overview of the different generations in the company.
レゴは、みんなはご存知と思うんだけど、もともと家族、で作って、もうずっと家族で経営している会社なので、それについてちょっと触れたいと思います。
So the company was founded by Ole Kirk Christiansen, who is this guy that I'm pointing on now. Then second generation, Gottfried Kirk Christiansen here, standing on Lego houses in this photo. We have quite a few photos of him doing that. I think it's a way of proving quality, I guess. Then we have third generation, Kjeld Kirk Christiansen, who is also one of the current Lego owners. Fourth generation, Thomas, also current Lego owner. And then I put in these drawings, and it's not just to fill out the space. These drawings are done by the 6 girls who are 5th generation of the Kirk Christiansen family.
OK。これですね、家族ですね、その6代、にわたってモルクから始まって、代々とですね、もうトムスからで、みんなのですね、もう顔をちょっと出したりとかしてるけど、で、一応この A はですね、もう可愛いから出してるんじゃなくて、これはその6代目の、女たちがですね、が、描いてる絵なんで、まあ、大きくなったら、まあ、レゴに入っていくんじゃないかと。
Yes. But we're starting out with Ole Kirk Christiansen. So the Lego Group started as a carpentry business, actually in 1916 in Billund, where we also have our headquarters today. And it started out as not as the Lego Group, but as Billund Woodworking and Carpentry Shop.
レゴは、1916年から始まって、実はですね、そのレゴグループじゃなくて、そのレゴ、木のですね、木の、おもちゃですね、もう木でできてるおもちゃから、始めだったんです。
So Ole Kirk was a carpenter, and he worked on different types of products, from furniture, but also larger buildings like the one you see in the photo here. He was known for producing really high quality work, and also work that didn't really come cheap. And I think for most of us that also sounds familiar. High quality products may be a bit expensive sometimes, but that was the beginning of it.
オレコは実はですね、すごく、いいものを、昔からですね、もう作ったりとかしてて、おもちゃだけじゃなくて、実際大きいビルとかですね、で、才能がすごくあったんで、素晴らしい、いいものを作ったりとかしてて、だから、普通の大工より、割高いんだけど、やっぱりちょっと高いけど、品質もすごくいいものから、始めてます。
Then in the early 1930s, Ole Kirk sort of zoomed in on production of, among other things, wooden toys. And that's because his business is suffering because of the effects from the Great Depression in the US, causing lots of craftsmen all over Europe to be out of work, actually. So that's when he starts with toy production.
で、そうかですね、アメリカが、すごく不況から始まって、ヨーロッパの方ですね、その影響してきたりとかしてたんだけど、そこから、おもちゃの方に、力を入れ始めたんです。
So his first success with the toy were the yo-yo from 1932, as you can see here in the photo. A pretty funny story about the yo-yo is that Ole did lots of yo-yos, he sold lots of them, and then suddenly he couldn't sell anymore because every child had one. But then he was kind of, creative that way, because instead of just throwing all of the leftover yo-yos away, Ole split them in half and he used them for wheels on wagons, as you can see on the blue wagon here.
実はですね、ヨーヨーをものすごくいっぱい作ったりとかしてて、で、それがすごく売れたりとかしてて、で、売れて、で、そのうちに、みんなの子供がヨーヨーを持ってたから、もうヨーヨーが売れなくなったんで。で、彼もすごく、賢い人であって、売れなくなったから、それをもう知ってるんじゃなくて、それを再利用して、実はそのヨーヨーを、分解して、左右に、使って、ウィールに、馬車のですね、ウィールに使ってたんです。
So after having produced toys for a couple of years, Ole decides that this is actually going to be his way of living for the rest of his life. And then he also starts to think about the name for his business, because it's still called Billund Woodworking Factory, and he feels that maybe that is not a very good name if you want to sell toys. So he starts thinking about a new name, and he comes up with this word Lego. And Lego, as you can see on the slide, derives from the two Danish words like godt. And like godt basically means to play well, because that is what Ole wants children to do with his toys. He wants them to play well.
で、オレゴはですね、おもちゃを、結構、それがもう本職の方になったりとかしてたから、やっぱりもうずっともうおもちゃを作っていきたいなと思って。で、まだビルンドウッドワーキングカンパニーだったんで、なんか名前としては、あまりおもちゃ会社としては、面白くないなと思って、
So that's sort of the very early beginning. Then I thought we'll skip a bit in time and start talking about the birth of the Lego brick, of course. So in the late 1940s and 50s, this is really a time of transition where Ole Kirk is starting to sort of step back a bit, and his son Gottfried Kirk is starting slowly to take over.
そして、これですね、息子がですね、もう入っていきたりとかしてて、ここからですね、その、違うものですね、その、実際にレゴ、そのレゴ、よく遊ぶというものが、始まったんです。
So in 1946, we buy the first plastic injection molding machine, which is the one you see in the top left corner. And that was sort of because Ole, at this point in time, Ole and Gottfried, they needed to find a new material for their toys because they're actually starting to produce so many wooden toys that they were lacking material. So they started to look around for new material, and they discovered sort of plastic and what plastic could do, and that led to the purchase of the machine.
実は1946年にですね、木材をいっぱい使ってたから、木材がどんどん少なくなったから、違う材料を、お餅を作りたいなと。で、このプラスチック、を、する機械を使って、で、それ1946年にですね、それをもう買って、プラスチックで作り始めたんです。
So at first, we didn't do any bricks at all. We did other types of plastic toys. But 3 years after we purchased the machine, we tried launching these stackable plastic bricks for the first time. We didn't call them Lego bricks yet. The first ones were called the automatic binding brick from 1949.
一番初めは、いろんなですね、プラスチックのお餅を作り始めて、最初からブロックで作ってたんじゃないです。で、いろんな普通の、プラスチックのお餅を作ったりとかしてて、それから、レゴのブリックを作り始めたんで、実は一番初めに、オートマティックバインディングブリック、自動的につなぐ、ブリックという名前だったんで、そこからスタートです。
But then in 1955, we launched the town plan. And the town plan is a pretty big Lego milestone because it's the first time where we show products that we sort of feel fit into this Lego system in play. And the Lego system in play is an idea that Gottfried actually develops because he wants to create a system of toys interlocking bricks that will ensure that Lego play will always be a new toy. A Lego toy should be a new toy each time you pick it up, and that's what he feels the bricks are doing.
で、1955年にですね、初めてのシステムですね、このタウンプランというのが、を出したんです。で、これは本当に、すごくいい、面白い、作り方というのは、一つのシステムで、一つの街が、作れるということで、で、一つの街を作るだけじゃなくて、レゴのみんなが思ってたのは、一回作って遊ぶだけじゃなくて、毎回新しいもの、違うものが、できるというのが、すごく、概念があったんで。で、そのシステムプレイのレゴセットが、このタウンプレイが初めてそれを、使ってたんです。
So after having launched the town plan, we're actually starting to see a bit of success with these bricks. And the design is further developed because what is the problem with these early plastic bricks is that they lack clutch power because I don't know if you've ever seen them, but they're actually hollow inside. They don't have the tubes inside. But that design is sort of developed. And then in 1958, in January, we take out the first patent of the Lego brick design that we actually know today. And of course, this is a Danish patent. But that is basically the brick that we designed in 1958 is basically the brick that we still have today with the tubes and then the clutch power, the ability to stick together.
で、一つの問題で、この、システムが、もう組み立てれるけど、すぐ崩れたりとかするんで、すごい古いブロックを見たことあるんだったら、中がですね、本当に空洞になってるから、組めるけど、すぐ倒れてしまう、分解になってしまう。で、1958年に、この、ツーブと、スタッドツーブの、ものを開発して、で、これの、クラッチパワーですね、これが出てきて、で、そこから、今のブリックの、そのままなんだけど、ができたんです。
And so with this new brick design, the bricks are really starting to become really popular. We're selling loads of them. And it also is the beginning of this expansion and internationalization of the Lego group with the first sales office in the neighboring Germany, and then actually Japan already in 1962 with the first official sale. And also after having signed this new type of brick, Gottfried Kirch, second generation, he decides that now is the time to sort of bet everything on the Lego brick. And from 1960, we're actually only doing Lego bricks. We're doing no other toys at all.
で、実はですね、これと、このブリックが売り出してと同時に、もう世界ですね、デンマークだけで、国内だけじゃなくても、海外にもですね、まずはドイツで、売り出したりとか、で、実は1962年に、日本、に、始めたのも支社ができたんで、で、その58年から、このブリックを作り出して、もう60年にやってから、木のおもちですね、もう全部、中止して、すべてがこのレゴ、プラスチックのおもちゃだけを、販売にしてたんです。
Right, so we'll skip a bit in time once again, and I will just briefly touch down on a few pretty important things that's going on in the 80s, 70s and 80s.
で、ちょっと、時間を飛んで、70年代、そして80年代に、ちょっと大事な、ことをちょっといくつかピックアップします。
So if we look at the late 70s, 1977, launch of Lego Technique as a new building platform that sort of prolongs the play age you have with Lego bricks because it's for older children, adults maybe even. And then of course 1978, the introduction of the minifigures.
1977年にテクニックの最初のセットが出たんで、これによってシステムが、本当に違うものが作れたりとかして、あと大人も、ちょっと使い始めることもあったんで。で、あとは、1978年にミニフィグが、最初のミニフィグが出ました。
So the same year as we launched the minifigure in 1978, we also get a new CEO, Lego owner, third generation Kjeld Christiansen takes over. And also the same year, we see the beginning of product differentiation, play themes, the creation of play themes, starting out with Lego City, Lego Castle, Lego Space being the first original Lego play themes.
で、1978年に第3年、社長になって、で、それと同時に、レゴのですね、いろんなシステムが、いろんな、セットがですね、分解始まったんですね。カッスルのセットとかですね、シティのセットとかですね、あと、パイレーツのセット、そういうのが出ました。
Then, in the 80s, lots of success, lots of expansion. The Lego Group is really growing and becoming this more of a global company that we are today. Product-wise, of course, lots of exciting products. I've only chosen one here because we don't have that much room, and that's the Lego Pirates 1989, a really iconic play theme that was launched in the late 80s.
あと8年代もいろんなですね、もうどんどん世界にですね、レゴが売り出したりとかして、ごめん、パイレーツのが、8年代にも出てたセットなんで、はい。いくつかも本当にいろんなものが出てるんだけど、あんまりもう全部を出さないんだけども、その中で結構大事なこのパイレーツセットです。
1980s, a really, really interesting decade for the Lego Group. So in the late 1990s and early noughties, it is a very complex time for the Lego Group. We introduced some really, really fantastic products, such as Lego Mindstorms, Star Wars, also that I know that you've just been hearing about from Henrik. But it's also a time where we start to see that the company is actually losing its footing and losing its belief in core product, Lego bricks, and sort of moving away from some of these old virtues like sticking to the Lego system in play and creating construction toys.
実はですね、この時に、いろんなセットもスター・ウォーズも出たりとかしてたんだけど、でもあとは、レゴはもともとそのブリックだけの、組み込みから、なんか、結構いろんなものを作り始めたりとかしたこともありました。
So at the same time as we're doing these really fantastic products, innovative products, we're also launching products that in no way are bad products, but products that just doesn't really seem like Lego products. And I'm thinking about products like the Galidor product line, Jackstone, Scala also. In no way bad products, but just not, it's just not Lego.
だからすごく素晴らしい作品も、素晴らしいセットもいっぱいいらっしゃるんだけど、でもそれと同時に、ちょっと違うっていうのが、ジャックストーンとかですね、そのレクサとか、レゴだけど、ちょっとレゴと違うかなっていうのがですね、いくつか出たりとかし始めたんです。
So we end up being in quite a serious crisis. By the early notice, we're actually like this close of to going bankrupt. I mean, it's a crazy thought today with the Lego group not being here, but that was actually what we were looking at in the early notice. But our top management, headed by Lego owner Kjell Christiansen, and then our new CEO at the time called Jørgen V. Knudstrup, they managed to steer the company out of this crisis by very basic getting focus back on core values.
で、実は本当にもう危ないっていうか、もう、レゴがレゴ社が潰れたかもわからないっていうのはですね、もうすごい危険の、時も入ってたんですけど、新しい CEO とかでたちが、やっぱりもう、元々の、一番大事な、元々コアの部分にですね、もう絞って、レゴを、復活させました。
And then just briefly where we are today, just to sort of sum up before we move on to the Lego group in Japan. So we have Lego CEO today, Niels B. Christiansen. He's been our CEO since October 2017. And then we have fourth generation Lego owner Thomas Kjell Christiansen, who is today heading up the board of directors.
で、その現在に、今あるですね、CEO と、4名のですね、家族からですね、もう入ってる方ですね。今もなっているので、それは今現在のレゴグループ。あとはですね、ちょっとレゴジャパンにもついてちょっと話していきたいと思います。
And so we are today almost 20,000 employees. And apart from still doing our very best to bring Lego play to as many children as possible, we also have a really strong focus on creating a sustainable future for the company, creating sustainable materials for the Lego brick. And that is something that we are working hard on. And it's, we call it the 2030 vision, that by 2030, all Lego products will be made out of sustainable materials. That is the vision. It's a pretty exciting future for us.
で、レゴは、また将来、未来に向けてですね、いろいろ、頑張ってた企画とかしてるんですけど、実はですね、レゴの実際の、プラスチックですね、これ全部サステイナブルの、もので、2030年まで、全部発がそれに作られているかに向けて、今、いろいろ、企画して、頑張っています。
Then I thought we'll have a look at how the Lego group sort of started out in Japan. And I had a look in the archives to sort of see what we had. And what I found were some of what I found were actually this. So on April 1st, 1962, we actually saw the first official sale of Lego bricks in Japan. It was through a distributor called Asahi. Sorry for my Japanese, Asahi Trading from Tokyo. So that was the first official sales.
OK。いろんなアーカイブ見て、ちょっと日本との、レゴの関わりか、いろいろ、探ってみたら、実は浅い、貿易っていうところが、1962年の4月に、初めての、日本でレゴを販売しました。
And the photos that I found here are partly from 1964, a toy fair in Tokyo, and then also from these Lego displays in a department store from 1963. So that is really sort of when we start to see Lego sales in Japan.
で、1963年に初めての、レゴの、ストアですね、写真とか、あとは、レゴの、デパートのストアの、ものがあったりとかしてて、で、あとは1964年に、の、販売の、写真とかがいろいろ出てきました。
Then I also had a look in our archive with old commercials just to see what we had there. And I found these ads that are from the early 60s and 70s as well.
で、あとはですね、プロモーションの、マテリアルも探っていたりしてて、この、70年代、の時の、レゴ集まれみ ったりですね。はい、そういうのがあります。
So that was sort of the beginning of the sale, but a real official sales office, a Lego sales office, was founded on January 6, 1978. And that's actually the photo that you see on the left with the first employees in the official Lego sales office in Japan.
で1978年に、初めての、日本レゴが、出ました。
And then the photo on the right is a Japanese delegation from 1983, where Lego Japan and Lego Overseas, our part of the business, they actually managed to persuade 7 of the sort of major Japanese wholesalers to visit Denmark. So this photo is the Japanese delegation and the Danish hosts in front of the main entrance with the Lego headquarters in Billund.
So what 1973 did you say?
Yeah. 83, sorry.
83, OK。1983年に、実はですね、まあ、レゴ日本と、あとレゴに結構、代理店、問屋さんですね。一番大きい問屋さんの、まあ、7社の、ヘッドの人を、ブルンディにですね、もう連れて行って、レゴ社の方と、会いました。
So that was a bit of Lego history. And then I thought we'll have a closer look into the Lego Idea House, where I'm working, the historical department of the Lego.
OK。それはまあレゴの、日本との歴史なんだけど、次はですね、レゴアイディアハウスについていろいろ話したいと思います。
So Lego Idea House covers both Lego Heritage, which is my part, and then Lego Group Archives, which we will hear more about later. And then it's also, physical buildings in Billund called the Idea House.
アイディアハウスは、まあ、レゴの歴史の部分とかですね、あとアーカイブ、後でちょっとですね、話します。で、あとは、まあ、実際にですね、レゴアイディアハウスは、まあ、ビルンにある、まあ、一つの建物でもあります。
So the Idea House was sort of the official Idea House was founded in the late 80s because during this time we started to have a bit of issues with other companies trying to copy our products, and we had some lawsuits. And it turned out here in the 80s that we actually sometimes had difficulties proving ownerships of products because we didn't have any systematic way of collecting material from these development process. And that's the basic for the Lego Heritage or Lego Idea House department as a support to our legal department.
実はですね、まあ、80年代にいろんなおもちゃメーカーが出たりとかしてたんで、で、本当のレゴというか、その本当の、ものはどっちかっていうのですね、結構争いとかあったんで、で、それを証明するために、まあ、古いレゴですね、集まったりとかしてて、レゴが一番昔から、作ってる会社だよというのがきっかけにして、この、レゴの歴史の、コレクションを始めたんで、これを、まあ、作れば、もし、どっかの国でも、もしその裁判とかそういうことが出てきたら、一応そのレゴのすべての歴史を見せて証明することができるようになります。
And we started out with 2 employees in the department. Today we are 12, and the location that we are in at the moment, we've been in since 2005.
2人から始まって今は12人ですね。で、2005年からですね、のデパートで、今の分になっています。
So this is actually just to show you where we are located today. This is, or more or less the center of Billund, actually. I'll just try and point a bit. So this building that I'm pointing to here is the old family house, Ole Kirk's house from 1924. Then we have the old woodworking factory this way. And then we have the first Lego headquarters called the System House here. And these 3 buildings are actually the Lego Idea House today.
このレゴアイディアハウスどこにあるかっていうと、今ここですね、ちょっとポイントしてるけど、まあ、一番初めの家ですね。1924年からですね、家と。で、一番初めの工場が、まあ、そのですね、左の方につながってる。で、右の方にですね、一番初めにできた、まあ、レゴ社の、ヘッドコーターです。
And so the photos on the right are some of my colleagues. I'm not sure what they're doing, some sort of event thing. As I said, we are 12 employees in the Lego Idea House. We are a mix of academics, such as myself, and then we have archiving assistants, which are actually all of them former, Lego employees, but from all parts of the company now working in the Idea House.
さっきみたいに、この右の写真は、私12人がですね、チームで、これでチームビルディングなんか、やってるんですけど、で、自分みたいにそのレゴの歴史を、勉強している人と、あとは、レゴのアーカイブを、いろいろ整理している人。で、そのレゴアーカイブを整理している人は結構、いろんな、レゴ社の中から、の方が、が流れて入ってきてます。
And actually, as the only, I think, department in the Lego group, we are only Danish or Danish-speaking people in the Idea House, and that's a very practical reason for that, because most of our archive material, especially the older materials, are in Danish. Some of it are handwritten. It can be really difficult to read, even for a Dane. So we are actually, in fact, only Danish-speaking people.
で、実はこの、アイディアグループが、一つの、レゴ社の中でも特徴としては、みんな、デンマークの方、ばっかりになってます。これ何でかというと、やっぱり古いものを、探したりとか出したりとかする、やっぱり全部がデンマーク語でも書いてあるし、で、時々手書きのものも、出てきたりとかするとき。で、その手書きは、本当にデンマークの人にでも結構難しいなんで、だからみんながデンマーク語で話して、デンマークの人ばっかりです。
Right. So, we are moving on to Lego Heritage, which was my part of the Lego Idea House, because I want to show you what we actually do, because we often get asked, what does a Lego historian do? And we do lots of stuff, but I brought you a few examples.
で、次はですね、そのヘリテージでですね、実際どういうことをしてるかとよく聞かれるから、その例としてはいくつかを、ここで出します。
So first and foremost, I think we are known for our corporate museum in the Lego Idea House, where we have 600 square meters of exhibition, and then we have several other sort of smaller rooms where we can zoom down or zoom into one specific product line. For instance, we have a Star Wars room, we have a Duplo room, we have a Lego Technic room, which is almost finished. I've been working on it this last half year. And we actually also have a room that is sort of dedicated to the connection between the Lego group and the A4 community.
So the Lego group and the
A4 community?
A4 か、OK。実はですね、600メーターぐらいの、展示スペースがありまして、で、この中でその全体的な歴史を、伸びてるところと、あとはですね、特殊なですね、例えばスター・ウォーズばかりの部屋とか、今はずっとこの、半年ぐらいはずっと、テクニックのですね、部屋、もう間もなくできるところです。で、あとはA4、ファンのですね、ファンとの、コミュニティの部屋も一つあります。
And of course, as part of this exhibition, we are also showing old wooden products, like, for instance, the Lego dock. And then in the basement, we have the Lego vault, which I will show you later if we have time.
あとはもちろんですね、木で作ってるものも展示したりとかしてて、で、地下の方にはそのレゴボルト、あとはですね、時間があったら、お見せしたいと思います。
So we do quite a lot of guided tours. Actually, well, at the moment, we're not doing that many. But pre-COVID, we did approximately 300 guided tours per year. And the tours are mainly because this is an internal museum. So then the tours are for instance, new employees, business partners, and other types of stakeholders. And then we also quite often have A4 groups visiting also Lego Inside Tour, for instance. But it is an internal museum, which means that you cannot just walk in from the street and have a look at this.
この、博物館は実は、一般の方はそのまま、入ったりとかすることができなくて、全部がツアーになってるんです。今、COVID になってるから、なかなか、今コロナの時代なので、最近はあまり知ってないんだけど、でも従来はだいたい年間300回ぐらいですね、ツアー。これは代理店とか、海外からとの、仕事のつながりとか、あとは A4 コミュニティの人です。ファンのためのものも、やったりとかしました。
Then we also work quite a lot with our communication department and the different SOMI teams. They use us for research, and also sometimes we have more active roles, like we've been part of the Netflix movie, The Toys That Made Us, for instance, and so on. But we are quite busy working with the communication department.
あとはいろんな、情報の発信とかですね、もうやったりとかしています。これも昔のものを出したりとか、ただ Netflix で言います。モチャについてですね、歴史番組があるから、そこにも情報を出したりとか、あとは展示を出したりとかもすることもあります。
Then also we work with, for instance, Lego Retail. Those are the guys who create Lego shops all over the world, where we do lots of research. For instance, we give them material for historic timelines and other types of decor that they would like for their shops.
あとは世界のですね、店とかに、例えばその歴史的なものを、提供したりとか、その代理店に、そのライセンスのですね、いろいろ出してあげたりとかもしています。
Then we work quite a lot with our internal ad agency called Lego Agency. Again, it's a lot of research on various projects, and we also, I think a couple of years ago, I had the pleasure of taking part in the podcast series that was launched with the launch of the Lego Bugatti Chiron. So again, we do different things for our colleagues.
あとはですね、その実際の広報もいろいろやったりとかしています。あとブログのですね、ビデオブログの出したり、この間もシェフロンですね、のモデルを、企画にして、いろいろの、そのビデオですね、もう出したりとかしてたんで。
And then finally, we also work quite a lot with Lego licensing and publishing. And again, it's research, it's fact checking, and it's general guidance with books, articles, and various types of products.
あとは、さっきも言ったライセンス販売なんだけど、これも、例えば本が出版されるとか、いろんなものとかですね、それも、歴史に沿ったものが正しいであるとかですね、その辺も全部、探ったりとか、いろいろも協力しています。
And then finally, there's the historical exhibitions, because of course we have the one in the Idea House, but we're actually also doing exhibitions in lots of other locations. It can be locations within the Lego group, where we have, like for instance, different parts of different types of exhibitions. For instance, in the new campus, we're also doing external exhibitions sometimes. And then of course, there's the exhibition in the basement of Lego House. Is also something that we in the Lego Idea House has been working on.
あとはですね、展示会、いろんな展示会ですね。これも内部で特企画の、展示会もあったりとかして、あとは外にですね、外に向けて、回る展示会とか、そういうのもいろいろも情報を提供しています。
So, part 4. I thought we'll take a closer look into the Lego Group archives, because I think they might be a lot bigger than people tend to think.
では、この、4つ目のところなんだけど、そのレゴアーカイブ、多分みんなが思うより結構大きいから、それが、面白いなと思います。
So basically, the purpose of the Lego Group archives is to collect and preserve and mediate material that is relevant for the documentation of Lego Group history and development. And in that way, we are basically a pretty normal archive apart from us collecting Lego materials.
ですから、アーカイブはだから古いもので、当然なんだけど、レゴのですね、歴史を、それを全部調べたりとか、あと持ったりとかするための、だから普通の本当に博物館みたいな、機能はいっぱいあります。
So we have actually several different physical archives. Most of them are in Billund, and then there is one in another city. So I brought you a few photos here. It doesn't look that amazing, I know. It's lots of brown boxes, but that is what an archive is looking like.
写真ではそんなにすごくないかもわからない。茶色い箱が並んでるばっかりなんだけど、でも、ビルンドにもあと、もう一つの、ところにももう一つありますので、こういうふうにですね、もういろんな作品がもう溜まっています。
So we have 5 warehouses in Billund, and then we have, as I mentioned, one warehouse in a nearby city, and the one we have in the nearby city is an archive where we have pretty advanced climate control, where we store Lego sets, but also all of the wooden toys, early plastic products, and the molds from the production are also stored in a climate controlled archive.
ビルンには、4つぐらいのですね、もうその、アーカイブ倉庫があります。あと、違うところに、その温度が、全部調整して、保ってる、一つありますね。これも、劣化しない。セットも劣化しないように、あとはですね、その木材でできてたおもちゃもそこで保存してます。で、あとは、すごい古い、プラスチックでできたものも劣化しないように、その、特別ですね、温度調整しているところに保存します。
And then apart from these physical archives, we also have digital archives where we work with two separate databases. One is for all the launched products, Lego sets. And then we have another database for all of the non-launched, and that might be, for instance, wooden toys, but also old photographs and so on. And that's filed in a database that we're actually sharing with most other museums in Denmark.
で、あとはそのデジタルアーカイブも2つあります。1つは今まで販売されたセットの、アーカイブで、でもう1つは販売してないっていうか、その木材のものとか、印刷物とか、それも全部、デジタル化されたもののアーカイブがあります。
So just to give you an idea of what we actually put into these archives. Obviously, we store Lego toys, Lego boxes, and Lego elements. But as you can see here, I just listed a few things. We also store documents, prizes that the company has won. We have drawings of elements, technical drawings. We have advertisements like the one you saw that I found, the Japanese ones. Press clippings, old machines, building instructions, furniture, tools. We have so many, weird things in that archive.
で、本当にいろんなものが入ってます。まずは、例えばその文図になってるですね、ものとか、あと賞を取ったりとかしたものもあったりとか、あとエレメントの、原画ですね、その、原画もあったりとか、古い広報類とかですね、古い広告とかそういうのをですね、出版されたものとか、いろんな写真とか、もう説明書も当然やし、あとは、実際の機械とかですね、すごい古い機械とか、古い家具もあったりとかして、あと古い、使ってた道具とかですね、いろんなツールも、もう本当にいろんなものがあります。
So just to sum up and give you some hard Lego Group archive facts. As I said, 5 warehouses in Billund, 1 in the nearby city of Vejle. In the archive, we have approximately 80,000 Lego sets, Lego boxes. We have approximately 1,500 pieces of wooden toys, 1,000 pieces of early plastic toys before Lego bricks. And if we put all that together, we have 4.5 shelf kilometers.
これ全部合計していくと、5個の、ビルの5個のウェアハウスと、倉庫と、あと、ベルジーに、もう一つの、倉庫がありまして、その中にはなんと8万個の、レゴのセット。あとは、1500の、木材の、おもちゃとかですね、古いおもちゃ。あとは、1000個ぐらいの、初期の、プラスチックのですね、おもちゃとかがあります。で、棚の、延べ面積を、にすると、だいたい 4.5 キロメートルあります。
Right. So, as a final thing before I stop talking, I thought I would take you down to one of the pretty well-known archives that we have in Billund, and I hope the sound is working. And I'm sorry for me trying to steer both, camera and doors and so on. But the thing is, I would take you down behind this secret door because this picture of this girl is actually a door that we have in the exhibit. So I'll see if the video is working.
OK で、実はですね、今からですね、その、音声とビデオが持つと思いたいんだけど、実際からですね、下の方にですね、もう、行きたいと思ってます。
Of course, you might have guessed this, but I want to show you this Lego vault, where we also have sometimes have tours, like Lego Inside tours get to visit. We also have designers visiting because this is what we like to call an open archive or a working archive. So it says engineering. That's just sneaky. There you go. Welcome to the Lego vault, or memory lane, as we also sometimes refer to this. Going all the way down there. Lots of shelves. What we have down here is more or less one of each Lego retail set that we have done since the mid-1960s. And that means that right now we have somewhere between 7,500 and 8,000 Lego sets down here. And all the way down there at the end, we have the older sets, and then we move up in time. And the shelves that I'm standing next to here are actually the 2020 shelves, which means, as you can see, that we are about to run out of space down here. So one of the current projects that we're working on in the historical department is actually figuring out how to not put more sets down here, because that's just not possible. We're working on a plan to move the vault and make a new, really cool exhibition space with lots more room. But I'll take you down here so you can get a feel of just how many sets we have down here. And also ventilation, sorry about the noise. A bit windy as well. Sets in here. Go further down. I'll start all the way down at the end here. I'll just move this. So you can see we can move all of it at once. So this is the first shelves from 1966 until 1976. So 10 years of Lego sets right there. And some really, really fantastic sets among them. Some of the early ones. This is like Lego City before Lego City. I also wanted to show you some of one of my favorite sets, because I have quite a few down here. Of course, there's the ones that I played with as a child. Those were especially Lego Pirates. I had a thing for Lego Pirates and also Lego Fableland, which some of you guys might know. We actually have a few of the Fableland sets right here. Fableland. One of my favorite toys when I was a child. But the set I want to show you is a set that I sort of learned to love or discovered after I started working here. 853, old chassis. Pretty cool set. I mean, just look at it. So cool. So one of the reasons why I love this set is, of course, because it represents an entirely new way of thinking. Lego builds an entirely new building platform. Another reason is also that I learned a lot about this set from the guy who actually invented it or came up with it or designed it. Because the cool thing is that this guy who came up with the ideas for this, not just this set, but the entire way of building with Lego technique in the late 70s, he still works here today and is, just a walking, talking Lego icon. So I got to talk to him a lot, and I got to hear his story behind this set. And that's, I guess, one of the reasons why I just think this is like the coolest set ever. Right, so I'll put it back in the shelves. Oh, there you go. So I could spend much more time down here. It is really an awesome place. But for now, I just wanted to show you a few of my favorite sets.
Right, so that was a very short visit to the Lego Vault that I hope you enjoyed and that you could hear the sound as well. And I think with that, I will say thank you. And I hope you have some questions for me.
OK。今ですね、レゴボールと、多分、聞いたと思うんだけど、 下に行って、すべてのセットです。8万個ぐらいのセットがあるんですね。一番初めの、1960年ぐらいですね。で彼女がすごく特別に遊んでたセット、ファビランドもですね、すごく子供の時好きだったんで、ファビランドをいっぱい遊んでて。であとは、八子さんの、結構一番初めの、テクニックセットですね。で実はその人はまだ、レゴ社で働いてるから、だからそこを見ただけでなくて、実際その人といろんなですね、ヒストリーになって話したりするもできたので、すごく光栄だと思っています。はい。ここで質問タイムに、開きたいと思います。まずは、シグニーに大きなありがとうございました。Thank you very much, Signe. Fantastic presentation. Awesome.
Thanks a lot, Signe, for that. That was very, very interesting. I hope everyone else enjoyed it, and really, really appreciate you taking your time out today for that.
My pleasure. It's a pretty great way of spending a Saturday morning, I would say. And coffee as well.
Yes, coffee. I second that. Where's my coffee? Where's my camera? There. Yeah. So did we have any questions for anyone?
Yes, Signe, I have a question for you. You mentioned that in the archives, molds are kept.
Yeah.
Do these ever get brought back out into production? How often does that happen?
It's not something that I know with 100% certainty, but I am pretty sure that we don't bring them back, because what happens when you use a mold for a while and you produce X number of elements, then they start to be a bit worn, and that means that we lose the accuracy that we prefer to produce Lego bricks with.
I see. Okay.
So sometimes some of the molds are kept in the archive. And actually most of them are somehow destroyed and then reused for something, some other things. So we keep a few of them. We've sort of tried throughout history to keep, just so we have molds representing the type of molds we had at a specific time. Like when we started using hot runner molds, we tried to keep those and so on. I tried to sort of run an internal campaign to bring back Fabuland because I'm a big Fabuland fan. And actually it turned out that, for instance, the Fabuland molds, we don't have those anymore. So we don't really bring them back. No.
Okay, well, thank you.
Can I just comment on the Fabuland thing? Like, while molds are discontinued and retired, I understand. But Lego makes hundreds of new molds every year. So in theory, they could just create new molds. I mean,
new Fabuland.
Yeah. So I think the mold is an excuse because not all are as happy with Fabuland as I am.
Because and Fabuland would you couldn't really offend anyone with skin tones or anything because they're just friendly animals.
Yeah.
And there was a question from Mel Cad in the messenger. What was the question, Nathan? Can you find it?
Yeah. Well, first of all, the first question was about molds. So let me just translate that real quickly. 最初ですね、モルドについてですね、その型ですね。型は、全部全部じゃなくて、結構アーカイブに入れたりしてるけど、それは出してまだ使ったりとかすることはありますかと聞かれてて、で、実はその使ってるうちにですね、どんどんちょっと劣化していくからですね、その精密感が少なくなるから、だからその時点でもう使えないんですね。でもやっぱり歴史としては、大きいことですね、やったりとかしたときに、大きな違いとか、特別なパーツとか作ったとき、やっぱりその型を、アーカイブの中に置いたりとかします。で、Mel's question was, she says, hi, I was wondering, how much of the wooden furniture that Ole created still exists today? Do you have any information on that?
No, I mean, of course, he sold most of it. So I imagine that some people around, especially Billund, maybe because he was very local at the time, would probably still have some of his furniture. We have a few of them in the archive. But I also imagine that since it is, old, it's from the 1920s, a lot of it has probably been destroyed by now. We have a few in the archives, and then I imagine that some people around Billund are still sitting in a chair made by him or something.
メールからは、その古いタグが、どれぐらい残ってるかとかなんかしてますかとで、で、シグからは、アーカイブの中にはいくつかのピースあるけど、1920年代のものなんで、多分劣化してるか、みんなもう壊れたか。 掘ったかもわからんけど、でもビルンドの街に、誰かがまだ持ってる人がいるんじゃないかなと、思ったりとかします。
Okay. That was Mel's question. There wasn't it? Was there another question from
another question here? Yeah. Do you have any suggestion for yeah, so there are a lot of FOs that do collect old sets, especially varied ones. They're wondering, do you have any suggestions of good ways or the correct way to store and or keep sets?
Well, when we're talking sets, I imagine that we're talking, boxes with Lego bricks. Yeah. Well, I would make sure that they are not exposed to light. Sunlight, of course, is a complete killer, but actually also just ordinary lights from lamps and so on. So if you can keep them in a dark place, make sure that the humidity is low and also constant. And other than that, you don't have to. I mean, I keep mine in a cupboard upstairs, which is too bad because then I can't really look at it. But especially the sunlight is damaging to not only the box itself, but also the older Lego bricks are made of a different type of material than we use today. And if they are exposed to lots of temperature changes and humidity and also light, then they tend to twist a bit and bend a bit, and they also lose color. So light, no light, and then constant temperature and humidity. Then they should be good to go for many, many decades.
Okay. Right. 質問としては、古いセット、結構 A4 の中で、古いセットですね、セットの保管はどうしたらいいですかということで、シグネからは、まずはですね、やっぱり太陽に当たらないようにですね、太陽に当たると、やっぱり箱自体も、色も変色してくるし、で、中の、特に古いレゴだったら、使ってるプラスチックも、今のレゴと違うので、結構ですね、あんまり温度とかになると曲がったりとかですね、変化したりとかするから。で、あとはやっぱり湿度があんまり高いと、やっぱりいろいろ、箱も劣化してくるので、湿度が低くて、ちょっとクールなところに置いとくのが、すごくおすすめです。
We're running out of time now, but just one comment on that. So what you're really saying is if you put all your Lego in the dark and buy some night vision goggles, your Lego should last longer. And perhaps Lego should consider marketing night vision goggles for healthy play.
Edwin, Lego's made to be played with. You're supposed to open it and build it.
Oh no, but you can play with it with night vision goggles in the dark, then it lasts.
I understand the desire to take really, really good care of your Lego bricks and your Lego sets, but I will always recommend just open the box and play with it. For God's sake.
Exactly.
We've got a question from Michael saying that seeing what sets, looking back, 10 years, 20 years ago, that what sets are popular. Do you have any predictions of what are the must-have sets for 2020 that will become in the premier sets for the future?
I mean, no, it's so difficult. And as for speaking into current sets and popularity and so on, I usually just tend to back down completely. Of course, the sets that have some sort of exclusivity to them tend to be more interesting in later times. But I mean, what we're doing currently, we're doing so many sets, first of all, so it would also depend on what your personal interest would be.
そう、マイクからの質問で、古いですね、10年、20年前のセットですね、今でもすごく人気あるのをベースにして、今年に出たもので、人気が保つものは何かありますかと。実はよく聞かれるけど、本当にいろんなセットも出してるし、やっぱりもう人それぞれの、興味とかですね、もう付き物とかいろいろあるから。で、あと、やっぱり特別に出してるセットは、結構人気をですね、読んだりとかするけど、でも、本当に結構難しいですね。OK。
Yep. I think I will stop sharing now.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. That was a fantastic presentation. I think that everybody probably learned many new and interesting things. And thank you for that walkthrough tour of the archives. Something that, especially now in this age of not being able to travel,
Yeah.
it's a very, very, very special. So Signe, thank you from all of us here in Japan.
And hopefully one day you can get to Japan, or some of us can come over there and meet you again once the world opens up again. So
Yes.
Definitely look forward to it.
I mean, that would be a good trade for me, I think. So you're very welcome.
Okay.
thanks again.
All right. Thank you.
And-
Arigatou gozaimasu.
Thank you.
Thank you, and have a nice day.
You
Okay,
too.
have a nice
Bye-bye.
We have quite a few Japanese members watching. as
And
well.
of course, Signe, you are reading up the Japanese, right?
Yes,
Yes,
please.
of course. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
Perfect.
My
That's
second
what you trained the past 2 weeks, right?
I did.
Ah, yeah.
Oh no.
I love that. Thank you.
Great. Okay, so I'll take a break then. So.
I think we're better off,